Hi children, how are you all? Welcome to today's video class. Do you remember what we studied in the last class?
In the previous video, we have discussed about the atomic radius and how it varies in a group and in a period. And also we have discussed about the ionic radius. In this video, we can discuss about the next property of atom, that is ionization enthalpy or ionization energy. That I already told you. We know that in an atom, the nucleus is carrying a positive charge and the electrons revolving around the nucleus are having negative charge. So there will be a force of attraction between this positively charged nucleus and the negatively charged electrons. And if we want to remove this electron from this atom, we have to break that force of attraction. To break that force of attraction, energy is needed. That energy required to break that force of attraction and to remove that electron from the neutral atom, it is known as ionization enthalpy. Okay, so ionization enthalpy can be defined as the amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bound electron from a gaseous atom in the ground state. And this ionization enthalpy can be represented by delta IH. Then this ionization enthalpy is an important property because it gives the idea about the tendency of an atom to form gaseous ions. And if we are removing the first electron from a neutral atom, the energy required is known as first ionization enthalpy. Then, and as a result, we are getting a positively charged ion, monopositive ion we will get. And from this monopositive ion again we can remove the second electron. And that energy required to remove the second electron from this monopositive ion can be called as second ionization enthalpy. And as a result, we are getting a dipositive ion which carries two positive charge because it lost two electrons. Then again we can remove one more electron from this dipositive ion. The energy required to remove electron from the dipositive ion can be called as third ionization enthalpy. So like this, different ionization enthalpies are there. And we know that in a neutral atom, the number of electrons will be equal to the number of protons. That means number of positive charge will be equal to number of negative charge. So there will be a force of attraction. To break that force of attraction, we have to apply some energy, that is known as first ionization enthalpy. But after removing that first electron, the resulting ion loses one electron, so the number of electron will be less by 1. But the nuclear charge remains same. Isn't it? So that nucleus is pulling those electrons more strongly. As a result, to remove the second electron from this monopositive ion, we have to apply more energy. Okay, so we can tell that the second ionization enthalpy means the energy required to remove a second electron from the monopositive ion will be higher than the first ionization enthalpy. Okay, like that. After removing the second electron, we are getting a dipositive ion. It contains less number of electron again, but the nuclear charge remains same. As a result, the nucleus is pulling the electrons more strongly. So to remove a third electron from this dipositive ion, we require some more extra energy. So we can tell that the third ionization enthalpy will be higher than the first two ionization enthalpies. Okay, so that we can represent like this: delta IH1 will be less than delta IH2 will be less than delta IH3, like that. Okay. Now we can discuss about the factors on which the ionization enthalpy of an element depends. There are several factors. The main factors are: first one, size of the atom; second one, magnitude of the nuclear charge; third one, screening effect of the inner electrons; fourth one, penetration effect of the electrons; and last one, electronic configuration. Now we can discuss about these factors in detail. First, about the size of the atom. Ionization enthalpy depending upon the size of the atom. How it is depending upon the size of the atom? We know that ionization enthalpy means it is the energy required to remove an electron from the atom, isn't it? So as the force of attraction between the nucleus and electron is more, we have to apply more energy to break that force of attraction, isn't it? That means ionization enthalpy will be more. And if the force of attraction between the nucleus and electron is less, we have to apply less energy to remove the electron. That means ionization enthalpy will be lesser. Then, as the size of the atom increases, the nucleus and last electron will be far away from each other. And as a result, the force of attraction between nucleus and electron will be lesser. So we have to apply less energy to remove that electron. That means ionization enthalpy will be lesser. So as the size of the atom increases, the force of attraction between nucleus and the last electron, outermost electron, decreases, and as a result less energy is required to remove this electron. So we can tell that ionization enthalpy will be lesser. Okay. But as the size of the atom decreases, the force of attraction between the nucleus and outermost electron will be stronger. And as a result, we have to apply more energy to remove this electron. That means ionization enthalpy will be higher. Okay. So ionization enthalpy is depending upon the size of the atom. As the size increases, ionization enthalpy decreases. Okay. Then the second factor is nuclear charge. Magnitude of the nuclear charge. We know that as the nuclear charge or the positive charge of the nucleus increases, the attractive power of the nucleus will increase. And as the attractive power of the nucleus increases, it becomes more difficult to remove the electron. We need more energy to remove the electron. So, as the nuclear charge is increasing, the force of attraction between the nucleus and the electrons increases, and as a result, the energy required to remove the electron increases, or ionization enthalpy increases. So, as the nuclear charge increases, ionization enthalpy increases. This is applicable only when the electrons are present in the same main energy level. Okay. Now, the third factor is screening effect. What is the screening effect? We know that in an atom, the electrons are present in different energy levels, isn't it? First energy, if this is the nucleus, around it first energy level, then second energy level, then around it third energy level, like that different energy levels are there, isn't it? And if an atom contains 3 energy levels, suppose an atom contains 3 energy levels, okay? So after the nucleus there will be first energy level. In that first energy level, S electrons are there, S subshell only there, and that S subshell contains electrons. Then after that second energy level is there, and in the second energy level S subshell and P subshells are there. These two subshells will contain electrons, isn't it? And the last shell is third energy level. The third energy level contains S subshell, P subshell and D subshell, isn't it? So the electrons present in the third energy level can be called as outer electrons or valence shell electrons. So if you are removing the electrons, the outer shell electrons will be removed first, isn't it? So those electrons present in the third energy level can be called as outer electrons or valence electrons. And the electrons present inside, that is the electrons in the second energy level and first energy level, they can be called as inner electrons. Electrons present in the last shell can be called as outer electrons or valence electrons, and the electrons present in the inner shells, that is the second energy level and the first energy level, can be called as inner electrons. Okay. And these inner electrons, they are acting as a barrier between the nucleus and these outer electrons. They are shielding the nucleus from these outer electrons. And as a result, the electrons present in the outer shell or outer energy level is not feeling the total nuclear charge applied by the nucleus. And that effect is known as screening effect. The inner electrons are screening the nucleus from the outer electrons. As a result, the outer electrons are not feeling the total nuclear charge applied by the nucleus, and that phenomenon is known as screening effect or shielding effect. Okay. And as the number of inner electrons increases, the screening effect also will increase. And as a result, it will become the attractive force felt by the last electrons will be less. And as a result, this outer electron can be easily removed. So as the number of inner electron increases, the screening effect also increases, and as a result, the outer electrons can be removed very easily. So that their ionization enthalpy will be very less. So we can tell that as the screening effect increases, the ionization enthalpy decreases. Okay. Then the next factor which determines the ionization enthalpy of an atom is penetrating effect. That means in a particular energy level, in a particular main energy level, there will be different subshells, S subshell, P subshell, D subshell, F subshell will be there, isn't it? So this S subshells, since it is spherical in shape, it will be more tightly attracted by the nucleus. The S subshell, since its shape is spherical, they will be directly more strongly attracted by the nucleus. So the electrons which are present inside this subshell will be more strongly attracted by the nucleus. And the electrons present in the P subshell, do you remember the shape of the p orbital? It is just like the dumbbell shape, it is, isn't it? So these electrons are far away from the nucleus comparing to the S subshell electrons. So this the electrons present in this P subshells are feeling less attraction comparing to this S electrons. Then when we are going to D subshell, again the distance from the nucleus and D electrons will increase. So as the distance from the nucleus and electrons increases, it becomes more easy to remove the electron because the force of attraction decreases. So if an electron is present in the S subshell, it is more difficult. We need more energy to remove that electron than the electron present in the P subshell or D subshell or F subshell. Okay. So we can tell that the ionization enthalpy of different electrons present in S subshell will be higher than P subshell, will be higher than D subshell, will be higher than F subshell. Okay. Then the last factor which determines ionization enthalpy is electronic configuration. Already we have studied that certain electronic configurations are more stable than other electronic configuration. That is, if an atom contains a half-filled configuration or full-filled configuration, that is found to be more stable, isn't it? So to remove an electron from that half-filled configuration or from a full-filled configuration, it is very difficult due to its stability. So to remove an electron from half-filled configuration or full-filled configuration require more amount of energy. So in such cases, the ionization enthalpy will be higher. Okay. So these are the 5 factors which determines ionization enthalpy of an atom. First one, size of the atom. Second one, magnitude of nuclear charge. Then screening effect, penetration effect, and the last one is electronic configuration.
Hope that it is clear for all of you. Thank you.